Seeing some positivity coming through on the NSE 20, a nice way to end the week off. Also keeping in mind that we have been seeing markets stalling somewhat. The question is, can we breach that 4,700 level that was hit earlier this week?
Well, it has been an interesting trend. If you notice from the beginning of October, the NSE 20 share index has actually been on a seesaw kind of situation. But yes, I have a strong feeling that that will happen, because with certain counters, you notice KPLC, Bamburi, the likes of Bank, the likes of Safaricom have actually been moving volumes. The likes of Kabasi have also been extensive, Barclays Bank. So there's a lot of activity, which is an impressive thing as we move towards the end of the year. And that is one of the positive things that we notice, because we have a very keen interest both from foreign investors as well as domestic investors.
Well, I mean, you're talking about foreign and local investor interest filtering through. To what extent are foreign investors being active when it comes to the Kenyan market?
Well, if you look at the trend, they're more or less interested in a lot of the financials and utilities. And key amongst this, you notice there's a lot of interest in the likes of Equity Bank, of Barclays Bank, Standard Chartered, and now with the soon-to-be, what they're calling the splitting of the shares, KPLC is also gearing itself to be attractive. I'm sure you've just had one or two from the senior executive person at KPLC talking about how they want KPLC to be attractive. And the reason behind it is that once a company is attractive in form of investment-wise, foreign investors as well as domestic investors are actually going to take much more keener interest and will come on board and more or less vote with their feet, hence buy into that company.
Well, just let's touch on KPLC. I mean, we spoke to Joseph Njoroge from KPLC a little earlier. And I mean, obviously, yes, a very good restructuring that is going to occur for the company, and it is going to see them shake off that 15.9 billion shilling debt that they do have. So all good news all round, it seems, though, Waiyaki. But do you think it's going to make the stock attractive? Of course, it still has to be approved by the regulators and shareholders.
Well, the stock market has been pretty much attractive going by the previous, if you notice, with the rights issues that were there, you know, Standard Chartered, KCB, and then knowing KPLC's place in terms of one of the major utility companies in the country in terms of power distribution and its ability to turn around from a loss-making to a profit-making venture. The thing that they've looked at is now to even make it further attractive is that reduction of the preference shares to convert them into ordinary shares means that now the debt burden is reduced on one end, and then two, they have much more capital to be able to expand or increase in terms of their distribution channels. And the third, but not more foremost, is also allow it to tap into further aspects of the business, because you notice that they were keen in the fiber optic, and that was also a key revenue earner. But when you look at it from the point of view of investment-wise, yes, the market has actually been much more attractive with the entry of, you notice that we are with the entry of MTN Business, which has bought UUnet. Although it's a private company, there's still that market interest showing that right now in Kenya is a place to be in terms of investment-wise for the East African region.
Let's touch on MTN and also UNET, or formerly known as UNET. Just this week, of course, they rebranded to MTN Business Kenya. Your view on this and how it's going to affect the price war scenario perhaps that is playing out in Kenya? I mean, more competition coming through for Safaricom and Zain.
Yes. Well, definitely it is. At the end of the day, what we can say, the past year has been a good year for the consumer, because when you look at it in terms of Safaricom or the price wars that were there from the voice end, now there's bound to be much more in terms of the point of view of data. Yes, MTN Business has come on board, taken over an existing company called UNET and rebranded to MTN Business. What this means is that the data area in terms of service, in terms of price, will see a very significant change in the next 2-3 weeks or in the next 2 or so months. Well, this means that generally speaking, you look at Safaricom from a point of view that now it has both ends of its revenue stream under competition. The voice has come under a lot of competition from the price wars, and now you look at the data entry in terms of MTN. But that's not to say that this is the death knell for Safaricom. They still have a new CEO who's come on board. There's Bob Collymore. I'm sure he's come up with his own strategy. They've been in the market for a while, so they more or less do understand their clientele, and I'm sure they have something up their sleeves. So in terms of overnight takeover, that might not happen. But gradually, what we can say is watch this space, because it's going to be very interesting going forward.
Definitely. Well, just touching on Safaricom, we have results quite imminent, and it is definitely going to drive the investor sentiment surrounding the stock. Safaricom sitting at around 485. We hit that level a couple of days ago. Question is, how much lower can it go? I mean, you keep seeing all these spanner coming into the works constantly when it comes from a competitive scenario perspective as well. Waiyaki, some are still very bullish about the stock, saying that there is none like it in Kenya. Do you agree with that?
Well, I would say yes to an extent, but also we have to look at the way the scenario is, the kind of marketing environment, the kind of market it's been operating in. But generally looking at it is one of those things where you could give your opinion and then the market actually shows it different, because over the years, what has kept it going, despite all that has been happening, there's been a lot of positive sentiments. There was a lot of negative issues that happened, but I would say that this is something that we would be all surprised by the way forward.